Hey, in today's video, we'll be putting students into a Google Classroom class that you have created. This is going to be a little bit easier to be done when you're in a remote learning or a distance learning situation. If you were in a classroom situation, it would be somewhat easy to display the class code, even though Google Classroom does not allow you the ability to customize or make sense of these codes. We're going to do this in a little bit more of a seamless way where we can invite students using their email address. Now, the way to get the student email addresses would be from the student database, the official school student database, gradebook, rosters, some way of exporting the ID name, the ID numbers, first name, last name, and email addresses. So I'm just using the arrow keys and I'm showing you an example of a copy and paste situation into Google Sheets of a very small class of students. And this has their ID number, first name, last name, and their email address. If you have this set up, it is just as easy as pressing the Shift key and the Control key at the same time, pressing the arrow down, then pressing Command C together at the same time, or Control C if you're on a PC or a Chromebook. Moving over to Classroom, I'm going to click on Invite Students, click on this field here. Now I'm going to use Control V or Command V, depending on what device you're using at the same time. Click here, and now we will be able to invite these students just as easily. Say you're in a situation where you have a student database that does not provide the email addresses for your students. More of a situation where you'll have to copy and paste those ID, first name and last name information, and it's possible to put together the email from that information. So what I'm going to do right now is it's still in the copy mode, and that's why we have the little blue dotted box around this. So I'm just going to hit the escape key. Now I'm going to go tab over. And so yeah, you see what we have here is the ID numbers for this small class of students, first name, last name, and graduation year. And so we're going to be making formulas to combine this information in certain ways to create the email address. So you see we have the ampersand sign. We're going to use that to attach these text strings together. Then we're going to use a function called left and then a function called right. They will return characters to the left of a string and characters to the right of a string. And I'll show you how they work. The first thing I'm going to do is click on the graduation year. I'm going to right click or two-finger click on a Mac, and I'm going to insert a new column to the left. And I want to call this column full name. This will give you an idea of how these the ampersand sign works. So I'm going to hit the equal sign to start a formula. I want to make a full name, one cell that will have the student's first and last name together. So I'm just going to click first name, the ampersand sign, and then the last name, and then I'm going to hit enter or return. And you see we have the full name. Now it's of course missing a space, and so let's go back into the formula and we'll insert that right here with the quote. Press the space bar, another quote, and then we need the ampersand sign again to join all of these together. And there you have it. It's the full name that looks normal. We're going to now put the mouse pointer over this little blue dot in the corner, press and drag all the way down, and you'll see it suddenly has created the full name for each student in the class just by dragging, because it has now put that formula into, and as the formula was copied into each cell, it has changed the row reference. So it started out with the second row of the spreadsheet, And then when it got copied down to this cell, it was into the 3rd row, 4th row, 5th row, etc. So we're going to do something very similar to that to create an email address. Now some schools have student emails by their ID number. So email by ID number. So I'm going to put the equal sign here. This is the ID number, the ampersand sign, and now I'm just going to add the email domain of the school. And there we have it. Hover over the blue dot, the pointer turns into a plus sign, click and drag down, and it has suddenly created email addresses by the ID of that student instantly. Now say you're in a school district where the email address is the first letter of the student's first name and then their last name and then perhaps their graduation year. We can put all those things together as well. So I'm going to call this email by name and year. And so I'm going to again start with an equal sign. So we need the first initial of the student's name. And to do that, we're going to use the function left. A little box pops up down here giving you some information about that. You'll see it needs, inside the parentheses, it needs the string, which in this case is going to be the first name, then a comma, and then the number of characters. So we just only want the first initial of the student's name. It is optional to put in the number 1 for this particular function, but we're just going to do it just so that we can keep everything straight. So here we go. I'm going to click here, comma, and then a 1, end parentheses, and then hit enter. And you see we started out with the first letter of the student's name. Let's add to that with the ampersand. We're going to add to that the last name, hit return. There we go. We see first initial, last name. Then let's add to that the graduation year. Some schools will shorten the graduation year to not include the 2000 but just the 21. So we'll use the same type of formula, but for this instance we're going to use write. So I'm going to type write here. This is the function write. Again, it works similarly to the way the left function works. We're going to select the string, which is the graduation year, comma, and we want to return the last two characters of that. Let's hit enter, and you see what we have. Now all we have to do is add the email domain at myschools.edu. Let's hit return, and then again hover over the blue dot, copy down, oops, not that, copy down, and you'll see we have the emails. Now I had them selected. I'm just going to do the same thing, shift control and then the down arrow. I'm going to do command C or control C. Let's go back to our class, Control V, and we're going to add these recipients. Just press the invite button and we'll be able to add them to the class just that easily. So I will make a link to this spreadsheet in the notes of the YouTube video. In the description of the YouTube video will be this link to the spreadsheet. While you're there, click the subscribe button, press the thumbs up, leave a comment about what types of features and things that you would like to see in an upcoming video. Thanks so much.